Shalom. Our study is in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning created God the heavens and the earth. Sefer Bereshit, in relation to the other 4 books of the Torah, contains only 3 mitzvot, commandments. The first word in the Torah is Bereishit, with an oversized bait representing the divine thought. This concept of divine thought is very important. The large bait is 2, which denotes separation from 1, God the thinker. There is thought, in Hebrew means ishmach. Ish, taken from Genesis 18:24, means existence, and mach, taken from Genesis 6:5, machashaba, means thought. Therefore, before God spoke, the existence of thought was already in his mind. This thought was the creation of a son. Hence, Ishmach, rearrange, spells Mashiach, the anointed one. Mashiach is the divine thought prior to creation, which corresponds to the sephirah of the keter, the tree or the power of the crown. For Mashiach is the head, the crown, the beginning of the body of creation, before Bereshit. The rabbis understood the first letter beit to mean blessing. The root word of blessing is bacha. The letters can also spell the words firstborn, bechor, which adds up to 222. And this is different from the aleph, aleph lamed thay, the father, which is 111. The concept of 2 is as much the separation, meaning the firstborn, as being the blessing. This goes hand in hand. Therefore, now as believers in Christ, we understand what Rav Shaw, Paul, says in Colossians 1:15. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. In the beginning, God saw that Israel would accept the Torah. The Torah was a justification for the creation of the world. Creation is secondary to the giving of the Torah. Therefore, we now understand what Yochanan, John, says in John chapter 1, verse 1. Bereishit chaya chadava vechadava haya et cha Elohim vechu cha deva chaya Elohim. In the beginning was the Torah, and the Torah was with God, and the Torah was God. Without Torah, the earth would not survive even for a moment. The sages say that if Israel did not exist, God would destroy the world. If ever there were to be a moment that the Torah was not studied on the earth, God would turn the universe back again into tohu vavohu, the primordial chaos that preceded the creation of the world. Therefore, the word Bereishit also serves as an acronym for in the beginning saw that God would accept Israel the Torah. Ba Rashon Ra'a Elohim Sheyachablu Israel Torah. The Torah begins with Bereshit and ends with the word Israel in the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. The very first and last words contain an allusion to the inner spiritual happiness of oneself. The word Bereshit, the letters arranged to give us the word bat, daughter, and ashri, happiness. Israel also split apart. The word ashri, without the lamed, means one who achieves true happiness through path of limud, learning and study. Before Bereshit, the existence of thought continues, when the rabbis understood that before the word Bereshit, there were 10 sayings in the Mishnah 5, verse 1, in the creation account. And the Lord said, let there be. Yomer Elohim yehi Bereshit bara Elohim et chashamayim ve'et haaretz. And the Lord said, let there be. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Since the verse is not preceded by the explicit, and God said, it therefore dwells on the borderline between the concealed and the revealed, the intermediary between the thought concealed and the subsequent 10 words revealed to us, the concept of singularity, singular one. In Hebrew is known as Yekidah. Yekidah meaning being one with God. Yekidah is the 5 levels of the soul, and it is well known that the Mashiach is known as Yekidah. The soul has 5 levels: Yekidah, singular one; Kaya, living one; Neshama, breath of life; the Ruach, spirit; and Nefesh, soul of validity. Bereshit, Reshit. Then came the word Reshit, beginning, following the first letter Beit. Wisdom is also called Reshit, beginning. This is the Sephirah of wisdom, Chokhmah. Chokhmah is the beginning. Wisdom is the beginning. Beginning of what? Proverbs 8:22 says, Adonai Anani Reshit Dahu Chadem Mi Alehu Mi'atz. Adonai possesses me in the beginning of his ways, before his works of old. If we look at Bereshit, the whole verse 1, it adds up to 2701, which is 37 times 73, where 73 is the value of Yekedah, which represents the Mashiach, and 73 represents the words wisdom, Chokhmah. Mashiach, as Yekedah, descends down to wisdom in the act of creation. Creation of life requires male and female. We get this in Psalms 111 verse 10, where the word Bereshit without the bait. The word Reshit is also associated again with Chokhmah, as reads as with wisdom. Reshit Chokhmah Yirat Adonai Shechol Tov Lechol Osechem Techilato Omedit Lead. Beginning of wisdom, fear of Adonai, a good understanding have all they that do his mitzvot. His praise endures forever. The Kabbalist understands that in the beginning God created should really be translated as with wisdom Ein Sof, which is the infinite, created Elohim. With wisdom, Bereshit, created, which is the Ein Sof, the immeasurable of the word bara, and the word Elohim, which is understanding. Therefore, we get with wisdom Ein Sof, created understanding. Understanding to what? Bereshit bara Elohim et. Therefore, tells us that Im Chokhmah, mother wisdom, created the Aleph and the Tav. Because the Beit was spoken before the Aleph, it points us to the conception of the baby which was hidden in the mother's womb. The Aleph was granted a far nobler and important task. It would begin the 10 Commandments as the opening letter of the word Anochi, I am. And Mashiach, Yeshua, HaMashiach, says, Ani, I am. The Aleph equals 1, and 1 corresponds to Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And the word one, echad, is a connector to the characteristics of the Father. The Aleph in its conception process of fertilization. 1. Sperm preparation. 2. Egg, sperm and egg recognition and binding. 3. Sperm egg fusion. And 4. Fusion of sperm and egg, pronuclei, and activation of the zygote. The activation to form the Aleph is done by a yod in the right hand corner and a yod in the left hand corner, and both are joined by a slanted vav. Hence, the combined value of yod equals 10, and vav is 6, and yod is 10, which gives us 26. The total letters hidden within the Aleph is 26, the number identical with yod, hey, vav, hey. Therefore, the Aleph has the character and likeness of the Father. The Aleph, 111. And Mashiach, the firstborn of all creation, in Gematria is exactly the same Gematria of the first word Bereishit. We also find fascinating that the total value of Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, all the letters add up to 2701 divided by 7 gives us a rounding of the number 386, and it gives us the name of his son, Yeshua, Yod 10, Shin 300, Vav 6, and Ayin 70.